One. Visible. Is our sound system working better? That's good. What we agreed.
Not sure, I was asking Lisa, I started the recording and the video.
Yeah.
So far, pretty okay. Speak loud.
Okay.
Thank you.
Has anything been done, or it's just that we're speaking louder?
Well, we're not, we're trying to pick up somebody out there.
The trick, Lisa, is if you can hear Ron.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Lisa?
Yes, but Ron, what you just said a minute ago, I could not hear.
I didn't speak a minute ago. What about now?
Yeah, better. Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Just project, Ron. You're in a high school play, you need to project.
I never went in a high school play, I stayed away from that.
All right, call meeting order, 7:07. Approval of the agenda,
So move.
Second.
all those in favor,
Aye.
opposed? Approval of the February minutes, of your motion,
So move.
okay, Ron, Eric? All those in favor? I have just one comment, on public comment. I know Lisa had made some, I think, commentary in Lupiani's, but was there any public comment from Lisa at the end of the meeting? I can't recall.
I don't recall.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't recollect, but I can check again.
So I asked June some questions during the discussion.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah,
I don't think I said anything on the public comment though.
yeah, okay. I know you made some comments with June and some questions for June. And I think they're kind of, they're all here, it's just not who really stated them, but the questions are here. Okay, so we're good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Capital plan review, chapters 8 and 9. I know Eric mentioned we need more concrete numbers. Some of the chapters.
Well,
What do you want?
we need new numbers, we also need new pictures. The fire truck shown is our previous engine one. We need one with our present. engine.
Or you read that one into the history of the town.
There we go. The machine's been changed twice, right? Or once,
Not bad.
yeah.
Well, when I first got here, we had a 1968 International,
I remember that, yeah,
and then this stuff.
yeah, and that's been changed to the
The
new one.
new one.
Okay. And then the ladder trucks been changed,
Yes.
but we had the original LaFrance.
Yeah, it was American LaFrance. Cab over engine, Detroit diesel.
Yeah.
Interesting thing to drive.
Yeah.
And then we replaced it with the present truck, but it hasn't been 3 times, just.
Yeah.
2.
So by 2028, are we gonna have the same truck?
I don't know, original plans were to re-chassis the body on something newer.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that's the present thinking of the fire department.
Yeah. Well, we're digressing, fire department. Pictures.
Harvey said that he was looking at a $1 million price tag in town meeting, so
Hmm.
that's like a big wolf.
Yeah. Well, chapter 8 is, the recreation, we moved, because we skipped over the chapters with wrong numbers. Although I will say, we could zip through and say, gee, what wasn't met to date with what we had anticipated, or what the state had anticipated? And do we offer feedback to the regional commission or the state that these numbers were impossible to meet and haven't been met?
Which chapter are you on now?
Well, just glancing back at,
I'm sorry?
and all the chapters we're skipping over, energy and
Oh,
the
okay.
data.
No, I-
Oh, I
okay.
don't think we would need to do that. Don't we just ask them for updated numbers for the next town report? Are we
That would be-
responsible for reporting out on that?
That would be sufficient.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
Let's
Do
start.
you wanna throw them under the bus? This didn't make any sense. No, no, folks, there.
I personally.
I mean,
Yeah.
I suspect many of the goals will remain because they haven't been met throughout the whole.
Yeah, I think we would just.
Yeah, okay,
And that's why,
just move the date down the line.
you know, the goals. I think it made it sound as if we were, and I mean the town, so really on top of things and, you know, knew where we're going and knew how to get there.
It will get you into a discussion of laws that changed, what are all the reasons, and I don't see that being very productive.
No,
Maybe some targeted question. Do that as well.
I think going through it now, you know, what we've been doing is more in terms of a heads up for us.
Yeah.
And,
Make notes along the way.
and to just identify if there were really some substantial things that, hey, you know, we gotta make sure about this, and the only one that's truly substantial that I think of is the Airbnbs. That's a brand new phenomenon, and that's significant, and that's gonna affect all the way through, including the energy factor, so, I haven't noticed anything else, you know, it's not like we left out an element of town administration, you know. I'm not too worried about it. One question is, when do we want to update the numbers, because we update them too soon? By the time we get to 2028.
Now, that I think is a good question for the Wyndham Region.
Yeah, well, Wyndham Regional can provide most all of those number changes.
Yeah.
And I hope they survive through them, or when we need them to be able to help us. And there's a kind of an undercurrent but not stated. Anxiety at Wyndham Regional because they are, well, by statute, they're supposed to be funded by the property transfer tax. Which for as long as I've been commissioner to the WRC, which is probably close to, I don't know, 25, maybe going on 30 years. The legislature has chosen to usurp and use for the general fund, at least most of it. And as a result, the Wyndham Regional Commission has had to fund itself very strongly with grants, many of which are federal grants.
Which are being cut.
We don't know where that's going, but it's a source of anxiety. I have not heard anything about staff being cut. In the last meeting with all the commissioners, but the committees of the WRC have been consolidated and some of them eliminated altogether. Energy, natural resources, and some functions of transportation and planning, I think. But the two biggies energy and natural resources. I see it struggling. Energy has not been what it should have been to begin with, because we're not really given any authority to have our votes or opinions carried through the WRC altogether, and anything we'd suggest had to be ratified and kind of blessed by the executive committee. But the remaining committees, I think should have included natural resources, which I consider to be a very important role of the WRC, but it's one of those that is being cut. So, I'm fairly confident that there'll be somebody around to be able to be hired if we can get a municipal planning grant. And then that's probably Matthew Bachler, who had given us a kind of a skeleton last, September or October of what kinds of changes might be coming down the pike as a result of the last year's legislation. And so he will probably be the one, if he's still there, to be brought in to do the update from the WRC's body of knowledge. You have to be planning on one that be and try to get that planning grant underway soon. So
Yeah,
I think it's the end of September where it's kind of the drop dead date,
I
and
think have it in.
it has to be completed.
Yeah. Yeah. So Morgan sent me the application.
Okay,
So for the next plan, would we be asking for the numbers in 2026 or 2027?
as current as we can find, I think, I don't know. Many of the numbers are gonna be no more current than the last census, a few years ago.
So our goals could remain the same, we're just following.
Yeah, unless we wanna modify it, yeah.
And then,
certainly the first run through, I don't think we should be attacking the goals right now. Even just to say it's okay, or run it through,
And
nothing
the
that, don't tell
WRC does this for many little towns, is that correct? The same for everything else.
Yes, they will, or did at least, give a certain amount of guidance without being paid for. But, this kind of an operation where you're asking somebody to invest a lot of time, and it will have to be paying them, an hourly rate to do it.
And that person will be the person who will be able to go and find these numbers, because I mean,
Yes.
okay. So realistically, I mean, since we are even paying them directly, we don't need to feel like there's a gun to our head in case their funding is cut, or you still think that could have implications for this person's,
If we lose personnel, and,
sure.
that's-
So, I mean, I guess what I'm thinking about is maybe just, again, since these numbers really aren't gonna change, and we really do we probably should. Strike while the iron's hot, perhaps get in the queue, and part of it is they probably have a backlog, they have to go through this, I don't know how long that takes.
Well, I envision the contract with the WRC for this help is going to be thousands of dollars. Probably more than 4 and less than 7, somewhere in that vicinity. For us to be able to come up with that kind of money before we get a municipal planning grant to back pay, I'm not sure the select board's gonna go along with that. I don't know, the money would have to come from somewhere.
Well, that municipal planning grant would come into effect January 1st, or whatever.
I think it will be available, maybe in October, but I'm not sure of that.
Yeah, okay, so it's late fall or something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it will be available within this calendar year if we crank through things.
Then to Lester's point, we shouldn't delay once it's available, but get the numbers done.
Yeah,
Well, it's not that long until fall, really,
Already,
we're
already August.
6-7 months or so.
Yeah.
And if that money's available, which probably will be the case. Then that, I'm not too worried about trying to jump things right now. And another thing about the numbers, and you know this, better than I, but some of those numbers are gonna be old, census numbers. Other numbers are probably updated by WRC almost by the year,
yeah,
because they're based probably on, how much energy they're actually gonna use to drive and trucks and all that. They have a formula and they'll put it in terms of any change in numbers they might have. So that it was the time that the numbers are available is gonna vary all the way through the plan. Okay.
yeah.
So, I'm not too worried about, have late fall and have money and we get a first run through, somebody retired.
Yeah, I could always ask them to identify numbers that may be updated later and plug those in. They're available.
Yeah, or we can, if I understand you right, yeah, we can do our due diligence by, going through really carefully in terms of, okay, which numbers we expect to be available when, and things like that. Partly that'll also let this person spend more time on other things that we can't do.
Well, one thing for sure that we want to bring them out is having our plan conform to the new legislation. And that is still, the guidance for that is still kind of fuzzy and up in the air, but Matt Backler is the one that has been designated within the WRC staff to be presenting this information to the towns in the region. So he should be able to give us some general guidance, to what happened last year. Particularly the environmental and river, legislation.
You're following up with Morgan on the grant application.
Yeah, I believe she sent it to me. And I'll, maybe one of the next 1 or 2 meetings, I'll make sure it gets filled out, you guys will review it together and hand it back to her for submitting. I mean, no reason why we can't submit it early, right?
Right.
Yeah. We want to go through chapter 8 and 9 quickly. 8 recreation, it's a small chapter. We want to add Grafton Outdoor Alliance in here. Have them draft up something.
I think so, yeah, they're a new organization of the town.
Did they already increase it, just add a circle on, do you have, there are also miles of trails, I mean, has this changed, has this gotten bigger, I thought it has. Since last plan. If there's something that is significantly different in the narrative. I was wondering what that might be, and if we want to do that, anything, and if there anything, and also if there anything not from this place.
Well, they added a new shelter,
And you
know,
it's cleared all the paths.
they cleared, they've upgraded, cleared paths.
If that's the source, do you think that should, if you think it's included in
Yeah.
we should,
Yeah, they're actually really nice. They've done this.
Yes, you had the dates, 2024. Upgraded paths and shelter construction,
you're talking about that's the area in the park.
yeah.
Village Park. As far as the number of, miles of vast trail, I don't think it's changed, but,
Certainly improved.
Amber could tell you whether or not anything has been added or taken away.
They're out there grooving it every weekend.
Well, we've had some snow for a change.
We actually still have a natural swimming pool. Does anybody swim in that anymore?
It's,
Under the
there's
town.
no swimming
Yeah.
sign up there, it's
It's
basically a
a
fire
small
pond,
thing, they just said never seen anybody swimming.
it's a fire pond, yeah, well, I guess we could,
Yeah, we've been out there and we've run water through the truck back into the pond.
yeah.
Is it contaminated, year round or?
No, not really.
I think it's just not tested or maintained.
It's just not, it doesn't flow very well, there was a little algal bloom in it, not last year, but the year before, that really wet season we had. And Hannah had talked to me about what to drop in it, and it was natural product, just precipitate out all the solids that were there, because the algae hold up all the solids.
Hmm.
So that's why it looked gray or brownish,
Hmm.
because the algae is kind of holding, suspending all that. The part of those, so you shock it with
Yeah,
this, and it just drops off.
nostalgic about it. You know, they used to have a diving board out there.
Yeah.
They do all the swimming lessons.
Oh,
Yeah,
Sandy used to
40
go,
people on the weekend.
Sandy used to go up there every day.
I was just wondering if it was swimmable. You know, people could still use it.
There's still people that will stop in and wade there. And some people will stop and picnic. So I guess more of just a little picnic area with water.
Right, well, I think natural swimming pond can be left. I was just curious, it doesn't seem to be used for anymore. So.
There's Grafton Pond considered a.
Oh, yeah, because there was a life raft out in the middle, people do swim.
Yeah, we lost, for the town picnic, there are a lot of people swimming,
That is true,
but it's not ours.
right?
No,
Yeah, it's
that's right.
foundation.
Yeah, but there's a sentence, there's a paragraph, the second paragraph, Wyndham Foundation provides recreational facility. Could certainly be part of that paragraph.
I'm missing the swimming hole, where's the swimming hole?
What's that?
Where's the swimming hole?
It's in the very first sentence.
Oh, jeez.
Not quite natural.
Part of the problem with that pond is, he used to have a feed out of brook,
Mhm.
which.
Right, there was a stream that came down the hill. right,
Yeah,
On the other side of the road.
Yeah. Now it's, everything is coming under the road. Not necessarily. As, certainly doesn't have the flow through flushing that the brook did.
Yeah,
I suppose you could reword this, there are, natural swimming ponds in Grafton, both public and private.
okay, that was true.
Maybe change the wording a little bit, that, there's swimming.
Yeah.
There's some built-in pools that we could add to this too. We put.
By my place,
You have one?
Bernie put one in.
He does.
You still keep it going? Oh, we should put it on here. What's the address?
In honor of my old neighbors there, I have rum and coke parties.
Yeah, and then Mike just put one in up at his house. Jeez. Town fire farm.
Oh, like it.
The field.
Okay.
They put that one, they put a beautiful one in.
Yeah.
I think we could advertise that one.
Well, there's several ponds there. There's, actually, there's one on Pond Fisher, out way back in the woods, but.
Mm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, Wyndham Foundation one looks pretty accurate still, that part of the Vermont Symphony Works fireworks display.
Yeah, where's the Nordic skiing gonna go?
Uh,
Cause I think they didn't make snow this year, right? Are they gonna continue to improve that or just let that?
I don't know, so I can ask about that. Maybe a good questions, yeah. Maybe a good question.
So what, they didn't have Nordic, they didn't have.
They had Nordic, but they didn't make snow.
Yeah, I think they also sold their snowcat, they're leasing them now.
And I know they were trying to sell the snow guns too.
Oh,
Oh, really?
I didn't know that. They do still do the sleigh rides.
Mhm.
My nephew does those from over in Charleston.
Yeah. So since they don't make snow, they didn't make the tubing park, although they did slide when they finally had the snow.
Oh, okay, it was open.
Yeah, it's just pretty much straight downhill. They built it up where it was pretty nice.
In the park.
A nice curved slide that they built there. So all evidence of they're cutting back, basically.
Seems to be, yeah.
Do they still have the bikes out there in the summer, but not nearly what they did do? Used to have the bike camps. Are they still doing bike camps?
I don't think they've done that for some years.
I don't recall reading about it, you know, Grafton knows there are people talking about it for quite some time. Just aren't any kids around out there.
Yeah, Lisa, I have a question.
Yes,
Do you know if they had the biking camps out there at the Grafton Ponds this summer?
did they have biking camps? No, I don't think so.
No,
No, I don't think there's any biking, and I don't think they have really maintained the trails, the biking trails either.
Hmm.
Because they haven't really had staff to do that.
yeah.
So no, they're
Hmm.
Matt, are you saying also that the future of Grafton Ponds cross-country skiing is in jeopardy as well? I mean, like,
I would think so.
wow.
They're dropping the snowmaking system.
And they got rid of the tap, that was a big attraction, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And on the snowmaking, I'm not, I did hear someone was interested in buying them, whether that came to fruition, I don't know.
I saw them up there, still out there, but that was a while.
They were out there this winter.
yeah, the town might want to have a little discussion with the foundation about their plans, if any, with regard to the ponds and the whole activity there.
Great.
Mm.
Let's see if I can initiate that.
We have an inside connection now that's, talk with them.
And so between you guys, all of us, I mean, I don't know, you tell me, isn't Grafton Ponds the single biggest tourist attraction or not? It's cross-country skiing, I mean, that, what do you think? For an activity, for the people who are coming here for any type of a wedding. What were they coming here for? I mean, I always thought, and again, it was my limited experience that, certainly weather has been bad, but if in a nice winter, that would be the place that people would wanna come,
Or
come go cross-country
Yeah,
skiing.
or even this summer, go biking,
Yeah,
and,
go biking.
now, when the wedding parties come up. They're pretty much either walking or jogging past my house for something to do. And it's part of the wedding parties, 'cause, that's either on a Saturday morning, just people walking or running, maybe a group of guys or a group of girls, and they'll just be running up the road.
Yeah.
That's it. Whether they offer anything over at the pond, I think they just basically offer their parties to have a camp, bonfire out there and drink.
Yeah, they're doing the wine and cheese tea thing for a while. I know they still have that in
This winter,
yeah, well, I would go out there and just, check in on Jay when he was doing the sleigh rides and they'd be in there occasionally doing that. The sleigh rides get a lot of people. Yeah. A lot of, on a good winter day, about 70, 80 people sometimes.
Wow. Should we add the ice bar
Guys, but,
as a recreation?
yeah,
Huh?
why not, yeah, it's, people seem to enjoy it. I went this year, took my $2, I feel like.
It's still called the Old Tavern, what is it called now?
I think they call it the Grafton.
Grafton Inn?
Yeah.
Not the Old Tavern anymore?
I don't think so, no, but I'll look. And see if there's-
I still refer to it as the Old Tavern. Oh, yeah. No,
Oh,
Tavern, yeah.
it seemed kind of silly for them to morph their name several times. Yeah, I know what they call it, the Grafton Inn.
And Phillips Farm.
Yeah.
Separate. I don't know if that should go into recreation or economics
Oh,
or both. I know I had many people mention it, that they were coming up, and some people that wanted to come up but couldn't find room. They wanted to be in the inn. And another friend wanted to go up with his 2 dogs, but couldn't find a place to stay with his 2 dogs.
sometimes they're blacked out for a wedding or.
No, it was for the ice bar.
Oh, the ice bar.
Specifically for that.
Oh,
weekend. Yeah,
that was
weekend.
probably pretty good.
Yeah. So there's, getting back to the Bass Trails, I think. The club has done a great job, I haven't been out there this year, but just telling you, the new machine, the trails look pretty darn good.
Good.
Yeah, that cutter bar too, he's cutting the brush along the way.
I hadn't seen that, but. They said they upgraded their equipment. I haven't been in direct conversation about the groomer, but I know over the past 3 years that it has been a very hot topic and a very expensive one to get what I think they have now. It really does a good job.
I can't imagine that's such a big machine, but it fits on the trails. So that remains as a good plus. And I saw one weekend, a couple weeks ago, we had some snow. Pickup had pulled up with a snowmobile trailer, probably had 6 machines on, was it enclosed, but would probably hold 6 machines. And the guys are getting out, to go over to the tavern, but they can, not just staying at the tavern, they're gonna go snowmobiling. You know. Most snowmobilers seem to go further north.
Yeah.
New Hampshire or northern Vermont. It's nice to see that they were, hopefully they were just traveling through, and they actually snowmobiled that weekend. And then, the bike race that comes through, they just travel through, right? They're not stationed here,
Fire station is one of their rest stops, and
you know,
so they,
what race is that? Is that,
You know, it's Harpoon, it used to be Harpoon, it was so,
no.
it starts in Boston, it's the one that starts.
Yeah.
It starts down in Boston.
I know they go,
Sure.
I know they go through Bellas Falls, they stop by my business.
Yeah.
They stop, one of their stops is Sonic's. And then they head north to Windsor to their parent plant.
Yeah.
Well, not parent plant, but their facility there.
I mean, that's what used to, I mean.
Well, I remember after the fire station, they were headed up through Townsend.
That must be, is that the Harpoon?
No, I
Must be something else.
I think it's something else.
Because those guys have already come 125 miles from Boston and they're not gonna come tour around here.
Yeah, I'm sure, for no good reason.
But there's certainly potential for more biking. Whether it's on the road or trails, right?
Yeah, I think.
I used to see, you know, on a regular basis. 2, 3, 4 times a season, and I haven't seen for a couple of years. Where people, the bike tours where they would be,
Right.
taken from one end to another and.
Yeah,
Tour.
Yeah, they've parked here with
On the way.
the van and trailer.
You haven't seen them?
I haven't noticed that
Right.
in quite some time.
They were here this
But
summer.
It used to be, you know, a regular thing.
It's the-
In terms of my noticing it.
It's the B2VT Bike to Vermont charity event. It stops at the fire station.
V2 VT.
B2VT, yeah.
Where did it start, in Boston?
It's down near Boston. I don't think it's like in Boston. Really, what? Doesn't actually say, this was all just about supporting the rest stop. At the fire station.
There was a company called, called BBT, for bike tours, I mean, it's been around, I don't know if it's still around, but it was in the world of bike tours, it was a good and a kind of a moderate price to lower price thing. I remember using it 30, 40 years ago to go to places,
Oh.
go to Annapolis or other places around. But they used to come here, I just see their van.
So we're both right. The 2025 ride will finish one last time only at the original B2B ride finish Harpoon Brewery, North Vermont. So they used to call it the Harpoon B2B ride, now it's the B2VT.
I knew it wasn't Harpoon anymore, but I thought it was the same route.
Well, there's another one, there's a mass, something that, those guys raise money for, I don't know if it's muscular dystrophy or something. It's the mass something
You know,
harpooned.
no, there was other. There's, when I see your cage, I remember one seeing, and I remember just being astounded. I saw a bunch of bicyclists, and so I just, when I was on my bike, I made conversation. And I said, where are you guys coming from? They just said, we just climbed Queechy Gorge, you know, and it's, so that's, whatever kind of ride that was crazy, and it's also 50 miles, whatever north it is.
But actually doing distance options, so you can start in Bedford, Mass, or Ashbury, Mass, or Chesterfield, New Hampshire. And it's either 135 to 149 miles, about 100 miles over 60.
Mhm. Yeah, my nephew's father-in-law does it, he's the oldest rider still doing it, he's in his 70s.
Good for him.
Keep it up. You know?
Yeah. I'm not sure which leg he does now, but he used to do the whole thing.
It does have some nice boats, the white carbon boats.
Mhm. You hold them up with your finger. Yeah. So all good things that could be added in here, need to get more details on it, but is Meg still involved with the Grafton Outdoor Alliance? Or she met with us to talk about the survey last year. And I haven't heard much more about that. Lisa, do you know much more about the Grafton Outdoor Alliance?
I think they got some kind of a grant recently for some trail development. And,
Yes,
and, and it includes the Nature Museum, which, you know, also uses the meadow and some of the trails behind the museum. So Meg Gonzalez, I think, is the person who's kind of in charge of that.
Yeah.
You might want to check with her. I think
Okay.
I think she worked on the grant, and she would be more knowledgeable about what they're doing.
Yeah, she had spoken with us, I think, last year on the survey they were doing. And a little bit more about what they were actually doing
Hmm.
as a group to combine all of the trails and so forth in town. I'll have her give us some feedback for the recreation portion of the town plan.
Now, I don't remember now, and I haven't looked at it. In the recreation chapter, do you also include all the various activities that are organized by the different nonprofit groups in town? You know, we just talked about the Nature Museum. They have a lot of programs, nature walks and bird walks and stargazing and other things, and
Even
the
It
historical.
does reference the nature museum, but it doesn't reference the activities.
No specificity on it, yeah.
Mhm.
So we can,
I understand.
add more.
The ferry tour this year had something like 1,800 people, so. Yeah, so.
Heard of it really popular.
The ferry house attracted, I think, actually over 2,000 this year. It's growing every year. It's a huge thing.
that's not mentioned in here.
Yeah, well, you know, it's certainly an outdoor activity, because I
Yeah,
help set things up there.
and for
Steep hills.
Yeah, reference front of the village park.
Yeah, it deserves its own mention. It's,
Is that the nature museum does that? Right?
yeah. And our new state rep is building with, I guess, pergola, or what do you call it? No, it's covered, it's a cover. So it's not a pergola, it's a-
I think the accent goes on the second one, so maybe not a paragraph, but I think it's a pergola.
Yeah. Either way, but, you know, so they're, you know, they generate more and more outdoor activities every year. Might be worthwhile to ask, you know, the director, just comment on the recreation chapter. You know, whatever they'd like to see for the Nature Museum.
who's the director there now?
Nick Katrick,
Nick.
Katrick. Nick, I think Nicholas.
Yeah,
And the Danforths, Laurie and Will are still involved on the board.
yeah. Oh, I'm gonna be, asking groups to give us some feedback on different chapters that, especially the recreation. To add to this. Get some dialogue now that we can keep in our back pocket and, as we move forward. Anything else on the recreation chapter? With the goals, policies and recommendations? pretty much
Just one more thing about Pinnacle Hill, the Wyndham Hill Pinnacle Association, that too, I mean, I know it has. I don't know whether there's anything necessary to add, but it has certainly done a lot more since this last. And you might wanna get more from them too, then, if you go about soliciting info. No, again, I don't know if you need to bulk this up more, but if you want some more detail. I know they've added more trails.
You could, like it goes to that Creeper Rock stone, which is actually pretty cool. You can also get to the old soapstone first, which, you know, are kind of cool, if you're not really able to find them. They do have some signs there, so.
Yeah.
I mean, we're basically a page and a half in recreation, we could bulk this up to
Yeah,
2 or 3 pages.
there's a lot to do,
Yeah.
so, you know, call out a couple of neat things, you know, that you can find on hiking,
At least a statement that, they maintain a trail basically over Putney Mountain all the way up through Grafton.
Yeah, you can go, actually, that's a good point, how far, if you start on this end, how far you can go, it's
So it's Putney,
Mm,
all the way to Putney, go to Walk Mountain there.
yeah,
so you can originate a hike all the way down to, you know, Putney Mountain. That'd be interesting to put in. And, I don't know if you're gonna reference that, I think it's on private land, but Serpentine Rock used to be kind of a cool landmark around there. But I'm not sure it's public land to get to,
Don't think there's any public right of way to it.
probably not.
is that be considered a historic site?
I kind of think so, but, it used to be, we used to take class trips up to it and walk up to it. I always thought of it as being deep in the woods, but it's really not. If you go up to, Middletown Cemetery and park there, it's, you know, about 600 yards into the woods, past that cabin by the. Yeah, we'd usually stop and ask if it was okay to walk through there.
Yeah, it's above, Grapes.
Yeah.
Joe
Yeah.
Collins' old place.
It's kind of, you know, there's pictures of it, they used to sit in the middle, well, everything in Grafton was a field. You know,
Yeah.
Essentially, you know, you didn't have all these trees, you know, so there's all the pictures of it sitting in the middle of the field.
Oh, is that on John Tinsel's property?
I think it's actually on Dick DeRoga's.
Oh,
Oh, is it this? Interesting.
that'd be a nice thing to approach Dick with. And build a trail out to it.
The trail would be on his.
Yeah. And there actually, there was a book that was written by someone that, I think she spent child visits in Grafton called The Peace of the World. It's kind of about that. Yeah. That was in the library, or they used to, yes. What a little things the way around here. But, I think it'd be cool to mention it, but you'd have the issue of being on private property.
I mean, just the name alone, come visit the Serpentine Rock in Grafton.
Yeah, it's considered a glacier, what do we call it? A glacier fragment?
Erratic.
A glacier erratic, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what it's trying to do.
It was dropped there by the glacier.
Yeah, there's nothing like it around it,
Yeah.
it's all by itself, it's just this big huge rock and roll.
They're all over New Hampshire.
Well, most of the rocks around here fall into that category for the big ones anyway.
But on the Pinnacle land that you can hike to, that Creature Rock is actually a pretty cool feature. You know, just sweet ledge and little with, kids love to crawl on.
One thing you can find, if you ask a geologist about those, erratics is that, they form a fan coming off from, Scotney.
Yeah,
And basically disappears after you get over the Massachusetts border, but it'll fall within a kind of a triangular bed shape.
but a lot of them are, granite, right?
Well, that's what,
And then
It's got
this one's
made
serpentine, which is kind of unusual.
that's very unusual, yeah.
Yeah.
But the granite off from, Scotney is very distinctive.
Yeah,
It's got it's called green granite, and it is a high iron content.
Those are some tough hikes if you start at the bottom and go to the top of the scuttle.
But a good 40 years. But when I was teaching environmental science in Brooklyn. I'd take the students out for one of the trips, to do various trips, but to Prospect Park. Because the glacial rain ended there.
Well, cool,
You could see it, you know, once you.
just went that far and then,
Yeah, closer. And you go into, you know, Central Park and Manhattan. I mean, the number of erratics in that park is amazing. It's just, you know, it's only 2 or 3 miles further away from the edge.
right,
You know, right? Quite amazing stuff.
it is. Cool. That's what that's assignment.
No, that's kind of what we wanna do is just so on the Pinnacle, any contacts? For more information on that?
You know, I'll ask Peg, she might.
Peg or Meg?
Peg, my.
Oh, never mind.
The best contact is moved out of town. So it's Jim and Camilla Roberts.
Oh,
They sold their house and they are now moved in down in Massachusetts, close to. I don't know which son it is, but whether it's in-laws or Jim's son down there in Massachusetts.
we have one little paragraph here on senior center in Bellows Falls, Brattleboro.
And ties it back into Grafton Curves.
mm,
It does mention Granger Church sponsored sugar on snow and strawberry suppers, I know they're kind of bringing it back.
When's the sugar and snow this year? Is it this weekend?
It was a couple weeks ago,
It was a couple of weeks ago?
yeah,
That was a good.
week and a half ago,
It was
that's good.
weekend after Valentine's Day, right? Yeah, we're away.
Sorry.
No, we wanted to go. Do one in March.
We're boiling there right now, getting those cold nights and warm days.
Did you have a good turnout for that?
Yeah, they filled it up on the first sitting. And you know, 3/4 full, I went to the second one.
Mhm.
It's pretty good. Well, you know, that extra serve.
That's pretty good, because, you know, we're charging a lot more money now.
18,
Yeah.
20 of those.
$5.
Where is it held?
Chapel.
Yeah.
Church.
So on town government and services, any changes there that anyone can see?
Are we still the highest tax rate? Vermont?
What?
This says tax rates in Wyndham County are the highest in Vermont. And Vermont's over, is the last paragraph on page 63.
Yeah.
Is that still true? You know?
There's no reason why it should have changed.
Well, no, if it isn't, it would be great to not say.
Yeah.
If I was hearing Carter Merrill correctly,
Sorry, say again?
if I was hearing Carter Merrill correctly, probably not right now,
Yeah.
but we may be going back in a year or two when they, you know, they have to do a reassessment. And so he said, we've actually been a beneficiary of the fact that our assessment was done several years ago. So while other parts of Vermont have been going up, we've been pretty steady.
Yeah.
But now they have to do a statistical reappraisal,
Yeah.
and it's likely to increase. I think you said 11 to 13%.
Wow.
Don't quote me on that. But yeah,
It's big.
something in that.
Yeah.
Maybe between 11 and 16. somewhere, so. So I don't think we are right now, but that may change back.
Vermont's the second per capita in taxation in the country.
Yeah, second or even first, but it's close to it. Yeah, once you do it per capita, and then once you do it as a percentage of the average income, because we're not a high income state. Then, you know, we start to stand out as a sore thumb in terms of taxes.
Not a, it's also not a large population.
Yeah. So.
Capital investment, traffic protection services, the fire department is increased, right? It's, firefighters. Still have a dozen,
I'm sorry.
still have a dozen firefighters, qualified.
It's more than that.
Maybe a little bit more than that, yeah.
I actually don't know the numbers, I can find out.
Yeah, just update the fire protection and,
But I'm pretty certain it's more than a dozen.
that's what we have.
Yeah, I found jackets hanging in the firehouse.
Yeah,
It's probably around 16 or 17. Now, some people are more active than others,
yeah,
but volunteers. So.
does everyone, all those 16 pass their firefighter one?
No, I have not, but I never really intended to be, going to the buildings, but I did do the potato course. And so I did the pump apparatus and driver operator thing. And I do all the other training that I can support. So, but I think the majority of the others have done firefighting. And 6 to 8 are probably interior. Probably 8. It's kind of the officers, there's 4, and so, yeah, 48 are interior. I'm probably a rarity, because I joined with the intention of being more of a pump truck operator.
You could probably take, hazmat operations class.
Yeah, and I've done the, like the regional training for hazmat, the EVs, tomorrow night is. Energy, power energy for like Green Mountain Power, is gonna look at that. So I've done the shorter ones, but you're right, I probably could do some of it. And the hazmat's pretty interesting, it actually did, the pump apparatus driver operator training. That was like over 10 weeks in Woodstock. And a portion of that was hazmat.
Kind of logical that you would fall into a need for that, since part of the operation on a hazmat scene
Yeah,
requires communication, which normally goes through the
yeah,
pump operator.
yeah. It's a good point.
Under
There
capital,
are other courses that are offered. That are more intensive.
capital investment, the Walker Bridge has been replaced. So,
Do you still have that, capital, budget committee? Is that-
Oh, we do.
Yeah, that sounds, I never heard that, that sounds great, I mean, so that really does a lot, there's a lot of good thinking about.
We're not unique with it, but we're probably one of the pioneers for it. And I think it is a vital part of our
Yeah,
town government.
great,
It was Louise Brook Park that started this about 25 years ago.
it's 1992, yeah.
It actually engages the town in fiscal planning beyond the regular select board annual turnover. it really, makes us, as a town, think about the future.
So did,
I think it's a great thing.
are the fire department equipment, is that capital or is that their own?
Some of it is,
Is it? Yes.
well, some of it, well, this year it did get split apart. But previously, a line item of the capital budget has been, fire truck replacement funds.
Right, this year they moved it over.
Yeah,
into
it's
the,
split it
select
apart.
board.
Like, the explanation was it was, a recommendation from the auditors.
But I thought part of that recommendation was that the volunteer fire department was separate from the town.
It is,
Um,
and that was why they recommended it, and, it's entirely logical.
yeah, so they do, typically, vote it for a, I don't know if I call it a donation, support of the fire truck fund
Yes.
now.
Yes,
But I don't think that makes it part of the capital assets of the town.
no, it doesn't.
They support it, but it's not a direct capital outlay.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Is it the contribution to the truck fund that shows up in the capital plan?
Yeah, they make a contribution. Because they're supporting the fire department, but it's not a capital asset of the town.
Yeah.
We can update for fire protection, services, update the equipment in here. Wanna check on that?
Inspire Robbie to get a new picture with the
Yeah.
existing.
Yeah,
Area
I
fire
wrote
fighters.
this, new photo, and then update equipment. What's the step, so the new fire truck, is it gonna be, what's the year? For the new truck? Rather thinking, how many years out are we from?
I don't know if they've.
Have you determined
Depends
that?
on the truck fund and need.
The ladder truck is probably gonna be the next one to be considered. And who knows whether it's gonna be a re-chassis or it's gonna be a whole new truck.
Right, like the ladder that's there now is an old St. Louis.
Yep.
Fire department ladder that was put on a new chassis.
Yep.
So chassis good, upgrade the ladder, is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't know, that's.
The ladder's good.
If we maintain the ladder,
So.
then it could be put on a new chassis.
Okay, so the chassis, okay.
We have experienced some issues with trying to keep the ladder operating over the years. They've not been easily overcome, but at present, I think everything is functioning the way it's supposed to.
Well, it's a couple weeks ago, we really well run.
Yeah, the hydraulic drives can tend to be an issue, but more problematic have been the electrical controls that are old, and we've replaced bits and pieces of them. But
So you get your electronics running the hydraulics.
Yeah.
Right, so there's actuators and cylinders and
mhm.
such. So the functional okay in cold, it's right, we run it in like sub-zero. Or
Yeah,
sub-freezing, yeah.
you take it out of the last maintenance, cycle I did, yeah, it was on the ladder, and we took it out. It was pretty cold that day. Raised it around 360, yeah, everything worked.
That'd be the true test, and when you need it on a really cold night.
It's been out. Went out on at least a couple of calls, there was a chimney fire on Anderson. I didn't go to that one, but I heard about it, they took the water up there. Sketchy driveway, I understand.
Was Grafton, the parent called out the mutual aid for that accident on I-91?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
We generally call it as far as number one. You know, we might support another fire company.
I don't think we ever have, and we might have been called the cover station,
Correct.
might have been, but, no, typically,
Just there are so many vehicles involved. it's-
It turned quickly into a mass casualty, yeah. One little snow squall killed a family.
Yeah.
And her father,
That's
and
what
infant-
a father said, right?
father and a seven-month-old.
So,
Uh. What else we got in this chapter? We got, health services, oh, look, town water supply and liquid waste disposal. We need to update that one, huh?
Wait, before we get to that,
sure.
question, is there a doctor in town or still no doctor in town? Because if there was, we should put him in, but we can murder it. No doctor, okay.
Unless there's some retired ones.
No.
No, it's Dr. Draven.
True enough.
yeah.
So he's retired by now.
He's, it says he's still active. He goes in every day, I don't know.
He sewed up my son's lip. Like 20 years ago.
Yeah,
I still remember, he looked at it and he said, this is really gonna hurt. But all accounts are good. Anyways.
how old was he when it happened?
Sorry?
How old was your son when it happened? 10?
No, younger than that. Not much younger, so it would have been closer to 15, but, stupidly, we had just gotten into the dog, we replaced the dog, we had died, and he grabbed it when he was sleeping on the couch.
Uh-oh,
Now, this turned out to be a wonderful, wonderful dog, and the mildest dog ever, but the dog was just brought there from a shelter. So, you know, he deserved, the truth be told. It was just interesting how Draven dealt with him.
Well, they certainly had the appropriate skills for dealing with that.
Oh, yeah.
That's,
so we need to at least add in the 2022 survey, or 2022 engineers report.
Probably, I think they have somewhere in it, right? Everything else. And stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and ultimately was, couldn't find a location and too expensive.
The last paragraph in here still applies. Limited capability for existence. So, yeah, we might reference, you know, the regulations on Airbnbs and, you know, do they need to be pumped out more often? You know, by regulation.
Yeah. It's a good.
And our pump, is there
Belongs in there.
pumping ordinance in there?
The rest is not all in here.
Is it referenced?
it's listed.
Yes, 1999 village septic pumping ordinance remains in force. And we're looking at upgrading that. Updating. And to include Airbnbs.
So this says Grafton is currently a member of the Southern Windsor Wyndham County Solid Waste Management District. I've never heard that referenced in everything of all our discussions and meeting reports.
As far as I know, we are.
Do they?
Cynthia
Cynthia.
has been our representative
Yeah.
into that group.
Okay,
Well, pretty much recycles the batteries that come into the town hall here, right? Brings them up to the solid waste district. In Springfield.
okay,
Oh, we got Rockingham too.
cause I only,
We can go to either, can't we?
Yeah, but this is different than those two locations.
Yeah.
Twin Windsor. The place over on College, is that?
That's rocket plans.
Yeah.
By the high school?
I mean, farther up towards Windsor. Isn't there something up there?
But that used to be the, I mean, the fellows, the fellows, the old dump on Route 5 and Pacific Road.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Oh, that's been closed for.
Close for.
PFI?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still catching up on some things.
Yeah, PFI is long gone.
Okay.
Oh,
I always
There are
taken
whole-
over to New Hampshire.
there are a whole bunch of solid waste districts. They're the ones that, run the hazardous material, pickup days. Or you can bring in hazardous materials.
Okay, oil and things like that.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
they'll typically operate those out of these recycling centers. But this is different, this is a government or quasi-governmental organization which we belong to.
Okay. I just wondered what they provide.
So it does have the town transfer station, what area is Westminster, which is right, Rockingham. Springfield, Chavez, Ludlow, or Weathersfield.
Why, did I miss the boat? Because what I had in my mind is, for instance, that bring it. I bring our trash up the street and you can do it. In Rockingham, and they squash it in those nice big machines. I thought then it went to the solid waste district in New Hampshire, was the site.
I think it does,
Isn't that the way? How it works?
I believe so,
Yeah.
because, Ruggiero takes, our trash goes over to New Hampshire, gets
Yeah.
sorted out,
Right away.
yeah.
I think it depends on the hauler. There is a sorting center, but I don't know whether there's still anything existing over in Claremont.
Yeah.
It used to be an
Out on
incinerator.
Yeah, well, not the incinerator, but the dump is still out there on Route 11, Newport Road. That's still out there, that's a recycling center and
Okay.
disposal. I know there's a sorting over in Walpole that Ruggiero has. Where they sort, quote unquote, sort.
Hmm.
And then I think it's trucked up to Claremont.
Oh.
You know,
I think there is a sorting center in Rutland. There used to be, but I'm not sure it still exists, one on Ferry Road in Brattleboro.
mhm,
Yeah.
but that's closed.
I think so.
I think they just take, a clean film brush. Yeah. That's it. So we need to investigate where our solid waste goes.
Yeah.
Hmm?
WMD municipal organization serving 18 member towns. With a regional transfer station as well as assistance and educational resources. The WSMD transfer station. Told me everything the word is. Oh, Bravo.
Would that be what's on Ferry Road?
And
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, because, right, they're doing compost, right, they're doing compost with a lot of the organics that come in. And they're selling, a ground compost. Yeah, yeah, SMD,
Yeah, it says Bravo, it actually looks like it's close to Putney. And
Yeah, the old ferry road, which is off, plus CNS, the grocery right down the highway.
Just not where the our trash goes up.
I don't think so, I wanna say it goes down in Claremont.
Yeah, you don't think that happened, no, but not, you know.
Cause I'm pretty sure Ruggiero told me one time that they, it goes up to Claremont. That was even after the incinerator. And that's completely closed now, the incinerator.
So it makes, so maybe we update that, that's not good. That's what caught my eye was, it was in the fund, so.
Mhm.
Where it was.
So. Communications, that's probably changed quite a bit, right?
I'm sure what, because much been built since then.
Oh, we have the fiber optic that's completely in town now, right?
Yeah. The powers were.
Cell coverage has gotten better. Yeah, like 5 bars right now.
What service is that, AT&T?
Optimum that rides on T-Mobile, I think.
Oh, no, I've got nothing here for Verizon.
Yeah,
I used to have a ride, it was awful.
This is on Verizon, going to couple of years to get all the different. What happened, I remember I went to Rodney after the, I think it was a GIA meeting, they were looking to have some, and I thought it sounded like a real, like a bamboozler, but some guy wanted to put up a big tower up on Bear Mountain somewhere, on Grafton, on GAA land that was gonna be part near where the fire tower is, and it was gonna be a place where they were gonna have some commercial transponders for cell phone service. Does it ring any bells to any of you guys?
Rings bells, but it
It was a
fell
couple years
through.
ago. The guy, it really sounded like it was gonna take advantage of this place and it sounds really good, but it didn't happen.
Plus where the repeater is for
Yeah,
our repeaters up there.
yeah,
That would be the place to put it, if it
Yeah.
were to be done.
in some respects, but. There are other locations in town. Which would be better transmission sites. Back in the day when we were looking for one for the emergency services. Those better sites were not available to us. Even though we looked at them. The biggest burden, I think, of putting in anything like this up there at the Bear Hill site is electric power sufficient to run cell tower. And be a long ways to run a power line. I've always thought that since cell service is something that can be available in some of the poorest third world countries and with rather primitive technology, that there's probably something out there in the world that doesn't require the energy hogging equipment that is normally deployed here in the States. That could go up there and you perhaps could supply it from a solar energy source. Maybe a generator backup. But I don't know anybody that's pursuing this thing. It just seems logical that it should be available. Technology shouldn't be a burden, barrier doing that. And that would be a great asset in the town. And if you, the AT&T that we get off the towers, antenna up here is good for about a mile. Very air distance. Yeah, that. It's nothing.
Yes. Well, you get into, the policies,
Before we leave this, the rather casual mention of, fiber optic and DSL internet should be expanded to say something about, the, 1 gigabit, service that we get through VTEL,
Yeah,
which,
yeah,
we should be touting. And
yeah,
it makes a big difference to anybody moving into town, so that's,
well, and that's, yeah, I put detail fiber optics completion. So add 1 gigabyte,
yeah,
mhm.
and that's gonna be up anyway, right? What are you,
talking about it.
They're talking about going to 5.
did you get a 5,
I got a 1 gigabyte router that will take full advantage of what they have now, but they're talking about upgrading their fiber too.
Hmm.
Which would be even more. But even a gigabyte router that takes full advantage of a gigabyte download speed is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Download speed is awesome on this together.
Let's see.
I was at the inn last Thursday and they had no internet. Cause the internet was down over there, whether it was coming in and down, or it was their internal, yeah,
I was looking for that, I mean,
at the inn. Oh,
no,
yes, so something happened that they didn't have any internet over there. It was interesting.
I must have been maybe they're on site, whatever they do to distribute.
Yeah, yeah, cause we had it at home, and when we got here, it was out. And I know Kirk saying that they pay enough. Or maybe they pay enough to their IT guy to have it right, and it was out, maybe that's what he meant,
Okay.
but they're on VTEL over there. That's Starlink. Have you ever done Starlink?
Not a big fan of, Mr. Mustard. I'm gonna contribute to. So it's, you know, it's gonna put some good uses on.
So we have policies for town government, protective services, other services. And then recommendations for action. This didn't have a goal section, huh?
In the very first part, very first.
What is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, down at the bottom, so page 67, yep. Anything else to add on these? Let's, we'll continue with 10, 11. 10's a good one, right? Wasn't really see. That's, I'll just keep that one separate.
It's a big one.
Yeah, no, let's do 10. For next, April. I believe it's April already, so topic in April. Next time, Wyndham Regional Plan, I never had a chance to make that meeting in small, did you go? Yeah. There's gonna be some more coming up, right?
I think so. You know, I had a conference that night.
Yeah, I did too, I had it all planned to go and something kept me from going. See, there's one in Londonderry next.
Can't tell you, I don't.
Yeah, but we should see what they. Yeah, because it's their draft, right? That we can make comments in on.
Yes,
I'm sorry, I meant to look at, is it already online?
I haven't looked, but I'm sure I can get a link to it if it has not been put on the public page. So we can look at it.
Take a look. Yeah, that'd be good.
Alright, our organizational, now that we've had our select board elections. Put Buzz on the spot here.
Sorry?
You asked him, what's this, what you should do?
Yeah. This is our organizational discussion.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm willing to, I think Eric had, Morgan reached out, I guess, to the VLCT. And there's no issue with being on both planning commission and
right.
the select board. I'm willing to continue if you guys are good with that.
Absolutely.
If someone wants to do it, I'm happy to,
Yeah.
make room.
Well, if we've got the time, we'd love to keep you on board with us.
Yeah.
Um,
And it might be an interesting link, I don't think there's really a conflict, I can, information flow.
As you said, it's legal to be on both boards.
with the exception if the select board decided they wanted him off, he couldn't vote for himself to. And your term is, what is your term for?
Years.
So another year?
Oh, planning commission,
Yes.
so
Plan commission.
I thought it was 3, so I don't know, it's 2, yeah. But select board is 2. That's it, it's gonna finish both at the same time.
That's right, yeah.
I thought planning commission was 3.
You've done a year, so you've got 2 left.
Right. 2027.
Yeah. And then we'll renew you to go help us with the town plan.
Even though it's legal, it hasn't been done before.
Really?
Actually, I think we've had
In
a
town.
non-voting member from the select board attend planning commission meetings, but I don't believe we've had a bona fide member that has been on both.
Yeah, you're right. We did that during the wind issue, I think. At a point, just as a non-voting, I'm pretty sure that's. But, there isn't an issue, the only thing I can think of. If some troublemaker wants to make an issue by raising it.
If it becomes a problem, for any reason, I can,
Mhm.
remove myself.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
And then,
I'm not sure anyone's gonna have an issue.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think there'll be an issue, typically the workload is enough so that most people wouldn't want to do that, but. If you're willing to,
Yeah. I find it interesting and, hope we learn stuff. So,
Which committee are you on for the select board?
Cemeteries, parks and highway.
Never know about the highway, I'm just thinking about take up time,
Well, one of the things that came up in the first select board meeting is they had gotten rid of some of the committees. And I was like, I think we should bring them back. I don't know why we're not.
Well, speaking of committees, did they continue with the wastewater committee?
I believe so, I'm not on
And who's gonna continue
them.
with that?
I'll have to check. I
And
can't,
Kathy, myself and Joe were on it, and Suzanne.
yeah,
Joe can remain on committee,
I think,
correct?
I think,
as But
As
I
a
think-
public, yeah.
yeah,
I think it may have been Kathy and Anna, but don't quote me on that, I'd have to check.
Who's the chair, by the way? I haven't picked that up.
Kathy. And Anna's co-chair, or, vice chair.
Yeah, okay. Now, Eric, you're up this year, so you have to.
yeah, see whether you guys like me for another year.
Yeah.
So we have to present that to the select board?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the way it's done.
How much money you got?
To get on or to get off?
Well, that actually hasn't been done in the
Depends
past.
how much either
For
way.
people who want, who are on a board, who want to continue on a board, they basically just ask you, do you want to be on the board again?
Mhm.
And if there are no other contenders that have thrown a letter into the select board saying that they want a position, then it's basically a no contest kind of appointment.
Mhm.
But I don't recall ever having made a judgment about someone who is a sitting member of the commission being nominated or not to the select board. I don't think that's happened.
So should I send something to select board anyway, or? just carry
They're
it
aware
around?
that I'm willing to continue.
Okay,
I mean, the select board is going to have to name you again.
Yes.
so it should be on,
So you
Their
might
agenda.
just remind the select
Put
board.
on the meeting agenda for.
You'll find something from Morgan about,
Yeah.
and probably the next meeting for.
Oh,
appointments.
Oscar.
Yeah, okay.
They
well, that's
typically-
right, it'll come automatically.
Yeah.
Through her timeline, yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Buzz,
Yeah.
and thank you, Eric, for continuing. I think.
And again, I'm happy to do it, but should the public be asked, or in the Grafton News, if there's anybody interested? I mean,
It's up to the select board.
thanks.
It's been very loose. I mean, it's an interesting question whether there should be more formal announcement. I'm not talking about this year now, but just going forward that, you know, you actually publish in, say, the Grafton News the month before, hey, this, you know, this term's gonna be up. There's, if you're interested in, contact Morgan and go from there, so that then the select board would have another name if someone was actually interested. Now, no one knows, you know,
Right,
if they were, you know, like you like this stuff, you wanna get involved, and, you know, there may be someone else out there that's just as crazy, and, you know, and, but they don't know that, you know, they could actually put their name forward, except when they're told there's a
Good
vacancy.
point, yeah.
Don't know if
When
they're
they're told
crazy.
there's a vacancy, we start calling around, you know, rather than announcing.
that's kind of, I heard word of mouth, and I said, yeah, I'd be interested in doing that, and then I got a call a couple weeks later, well. Great.
It probably should be more formal, and probably another job to get more than just keep track of it, so you don't come up and have it, put something in the draft and do it. But, you know, it's, thinking about it, it's just a little more democratic that way.
Yeah. At least the opportunities out there, if people are interested in that.
So is it? The appointment should be right after town meeting, right?
Well, I think there will be in the next select board agenda.
Okay, so how does she get the word out?
Well, I wasn't suggesting we do it under, you know, the gun this time, although we can if we decide to, but, you know, I'm just saying. And not just for the planning commission, just for,
Only, but
you know. And it might be, cause well, I'm trying to think about it, there are quite a few committees where people are appointed to the select board, you know.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's like you publish it once a year in the Grafton News, you have a page, these are all the things that need reappointment, if you're interested.
Well, it's listed in the town report, our names are there with our
You have to
dates.
pull it out, though, but yeah, they're there, everything's there, but I'm just saying, get it out in the Grafton News, everybody who looks at the Grafton News. And, and announce it as this, these are positions that need to be reappointed. You're interested at all.
So put, planning commission tryouts are first week of April.
Yeah.
There's a chapter to read, come back to.
Yeah. No, she said there's a tryout, I mean, you can accept, oh, yeah.
A little test, you know, multiple choice.
Any,
Well, at one time we did. Not pass judgment of it, but had comments. On people who wanted to be a member of the planning commission, and we'd ask them to basically submit a letter. That we would review in the planning commission, relative to why they wanted to be on the planning commission. And we'd make a recommendation to the select board. That procedure has not been followed for at least 10 years, maybe closer to 20, but it was in the dim distant past the way. There was no authority for us to choose anybody, but we were given the privilege of commenting prior to the select board making an appointment.
It also depends on issues and things involved. You know, again, when we were back in the middle of the wind stuff, there was competition for getting on the planning commission. Because there were different sides in the sense.
we actually had a debate. Was there a debate for it?
And we had, you know, we voted on
Not between potential
different
members.
members, because of that, because it was such a huge issue, so many people were involved. And, you know, as soon as the wind thing was done, you know, there was one person who was not reappointed, you know, by the select board, you know, purposely, you know, because it's time to move on, as far as they were concerned, so. Times change, but who knows what issue we'll face in a year or two.
All right, the old business,
You don't have it on the agenda here, but old business relative to PFAS and PFAS contamination and that sort of thing.
yeah,
I sent out 3 links to you all late today, 2 of which are with regard to PFAS technology. And the other link was relative to a new cell phone app, which promises to be a useful thing for people that live close to rivers or are in emergency management and would like to know when the next flash flood is going to come on top of them. There's a company in Vermont that has developed a software program which is based on data inputs from various weather station and national geographic survey gauges and so on, combined with a little bit of artificial intelligence that will make predictions based on all of that input to whether or not a given stream is going to close
so
out.
who's it getting this? Hydrology,
So it's pulling multiple sources together.
and in fact, we have no gauges on our rivers.
Yeah, we lost them down in Saxon's River, and I still don't know why.
So it's taking past history for weather.
And present conditions.
And future,
I don't know how the AI is gonna work, but I assume it's gonna be looking at past events and present data in from
Yeah.
NOAA if it still exists.
And if there's an approaching storm and its track, it could predict its track. So that's what Noah's trying to do now with AI.
Yeah,
A lot of Noah's AI now.
didn't know that. Anyway, this, cell phone app is something that will apparently give you an alert if there's a situation coming up. Companies right up here in state Vermont and, it was developed by a guy who suffers from Irene. It's like, this comes around again, I wanna know, what's gonna hit me.
Mm,
It's much more, current information than, say, what we've been intending on this, national water model, which seems very distant and not necessarily.
it is very distant, and who knows with the cutbacks, whether they're gonna have the money to do
Do it.
anything more.
Yeah,
They're gonna just be maintaining what they've got. Hopefully,
anyway,
nice, so that's one of those nice is that, I didn't have. a
yeah,
chance to look
that's
at it.
the first one that I sent you.
Yeah, thank you. We'll look at that. So you wanna discuss those next?
Yeah, if we,
Included in the flood resiliency.
especially if, you can get something out of that lady in Texas.
Well, Hannah's in Manchester, but Texas A and M has the research. And then, I gotta go in touch with her. I think I mentioned that she had been ill over the winter.
So one of the DFAS, links has to do with, some bugs that will actually break down PFAS. If you basically put them on a starvation diet and they haven't got anything else to eat, they'll tie into it.
That's still, very interesting.
But Texas A and M was working on the plants.
And there's another one basically on plants for cleaning up contaminated soil.
Yeah. Well, thank you for putting those out. I've got my notes for old business, the group viewpoints for the town plan, adding to my list. And then the municipal planning grant.
This sounds like scare tactics, and I don't really have good basis for saying that I know this to be a fact. However, there's probably some truth to it. It's said that our brains presently contain the equivalent of a sandwich bag's worth of plastic. It gets in there, you know, because it's microscopic particles. That's kind of scary.
It's blocking our pineal gland.
I don't know what it's doing. But plastics have been an ignored topic for many decades. And they've been accelerated in use more recently in the past decade.
Did you see where Japan is coming out with a plastic that will dissolve in salt water and soil in about 2 weeks?
Wow.
I just read it in an article the other day.
Is it really a plastic or something?
Yeah, it's as durable as our current plastic bottles. And salt water and microorganisms break it down.
So
And
if we wash all our trash into the ocean.
it's not dump in the ocean and just dissolve. Yeah.
It's okay.
What's it break down into?
It says, it's organic, whatever they make it out of, turns back into this natural
That'd be pretty cool.
molecule. So look up Japan, new plastic.
Hello?
Any new business?
Let me just go back to the old business.
Oh, yeah, the sound system.
This is,
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I'd like to say a couple of things, but first I'm gonna just ask Lisa, have you heard us all nice and clearly tonight? This is Lester, I'm sitting stage left.
Yeah, thanks, Lester. No, it's sketchy. It all depends on where everybody's sitting. I can hear Eric just fine, and Matt mostly. Buzz and
Well-
Lester and Ron a little bit sketchy. So
So listen to this, so this.
it's not great. No, it's not great.
Okay,
Is it better than last time?
Maybe marginally better. Yeah, did something happen between last time and now?
no, let me tell you, so in the meantime, when I listened, I was watching and listening, and I've been speaking with Morgan, I know, every couple of weeks about this. And they were gonna do a bunch of experiments, which didn't quite happen, but nonetheless, though, the long and the short of it is. Listening to it last week when it was at the school, it was sketchy in part, but it was also not the usual place. Right now, we have here our setup, like we usually have this U-shaped table, and the owl should sit there. And the idea being that this remote mic sits further away for other people, but you actually had it moved up closer, and apparently, remember that, and apparently made a big difference.
Yeah.
And I told that all to Morgan and to see if she would do some experiments with that, but that didn't happen. So what she said, and what I then checked and wanted to just tell you right now, if you want to try it. We can certainly, and he's actually trying this stuff, but here's the problem and the limitation, and I don't know if this will be the answer. This micro USB cord, right, is just one cord, and there's only one outlet on the owl for one cord, okay? Do you think getting a Y splitter like this and feeding a second, feeding two mics, another one of those into both of them into a Y splitter and plugging it into the one little opening there, you think there'll be feedback? You think that's reasonable? It's certainly worth an experiment.
I've seen it in a lot of conference rooms,
Okay.
as long as the owl, is that for an owl?
Yeah, I mean, this is just a regular Y splitter, this is a piece of.
I would think,
And
I've
this
seen
is
that a
the
lot.
owls, this is the same thing as that. It ain't cheap, it's $250, and this thing is $13.
Yeah, so you'd have a speaker here.
Yeah, but that's what I figured we could do, and then we can see what happens. I'm imagining, I mean, worst case is that there's something that gets this thing crazy because it has two audio feeds coming.
Yeah, that's why I was asking if it could handle the input.
I don't know.
Whatever happened to our microphones?
Well, that's what I'm saying, so this would be.
No, you include the microphones. This would pick up the microphones.
I don't know, this is a mic, I don't know.
No.
Sorry.
We amplify our voices. That will pick up with the microphones.
You mean like good old days where everyone has a microphone
Yeah.
in front of them?
Yeah, they actually,
I don't remember that, but is that might be going back to.
when I got on the select board, some people, for some crazy reason, said they couldn't, hear me. Who's the guy, they moved into Tom Trilla's old place there. Up on the bend.
Oh, Banks.
2 or 3 years.
Was it Banks?
Anyways, some lawyer from Connecticut, their family had a house up here, farm up on the bend for a few years. And he got so irritated, he went out and bought a system. Maybe it was because,
Yeah.
and so, but it worked like a charm, and it goes back, they must be around still.
So what are you suggesting? We have microphones and the microphones amplify into an amplifier and that amplified sound then goes to these things.
So this is like help,
voice louder, so.
this is to
Yeah,
help those
that's how it
online.
happened. The voices were much clearer, you could even hear me and understand what I'm
This
saying.
is to help those online. People in the back room probably couldn't hear us talking. So we have a couple speakers that are maybe mounted on each side of the room here, and it just amplifies what we're saying in here.
So what we really need is some sort of like basic like a little karaoke system, is that like,
Yeah.
something like a little amp that.
Yeah, if you amplify what we're saying in this room, this will pick up the louder Yeah.
And then we would each all have, or at least we'd have three mics, we have one here, one by you
Yeah, you
guys.
probably have one over there, one here, one, you probably three would do it.
I'd one for everybody, you could take that and put that in the audience.
Yeah,
Well, that thing is still needed, it does a good job of swinging around, taking our pictures.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, this is really the right place for the hour.
yeah, this is still the video, and then the audio is just amplified. For those in the room, and this will pick up the amplified.
Alright, so if you like,
That makes sense, right?
so if you'd like me to look into that, I'd be happy what I would then go looking for, just to make it clear, that I would look for basically some sort of a nice, 1980s, amplifier with three microphones.
We have it,
And-
we have, it's probably sitting
We
behind
have
us.
it somewhere
in
in
this
this
room.
building.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah.
Alright.
Are five of those things and.
Yeah, and
a
some
hookup.
speakers, a couple of speakers.
Yeah, yeah.
It was wired, but you can get the wireless now that we.
Now we can probably get the
Even
wireless
better.
mics, right, yeah. Alright, so, you want me to ask Morgan to help us
Look
find
at
that?
what we had at
So
the
we
meeting.
had one in front of us, and when we spoke, we didn't have to, but, we could also.
What did you-
wanted to
uh,
swear or
just tell me,
something
what
like
was
that,
it?
So
The old
you
mic?
turn your mic on.
But they were wireless.
But there was one.
I think they're,
Yeah, oh, there are a ton of them out there, that voice amplifiers that teachers use for, putting records for Gen 5. There's a lot of options.
what do other
So,
people
well-
use this? Oh, go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I really appreciate this effort to make your meeting more accessible to the audience. And someday maybe there's even more audience than just, one or two people. And it should be accessible. I think you're required by law to be accessible, to be heard by your audience, as you are a public meeting. And Ron, I do remember those microphones that the select board used, and they gotta be someplace. And even now, Buzz, maybe when you are on the select board, you might even think about whether the current select board might consider using them, because often it's actually not that easy to hear people. And sometimes we have a lot of people in the audience, and some people do have to sit in the back row. And we are all getting older, and hearing problems are very common. It's another reason. So appreciate all the efforts. Thank you.
But, I agree, the other meetings should be very.
I think you're talking about ones that are gonna be just floor mounted or whatever, it's like, you were, I think, and now I'm getting, you're saying that you want to amplify the voices just as they are, and you have full house, forget about these people, to these people.
Well, it's gonna help both.
Yeah.
It's gonna help the people in the back of the room
Yeah.
hear us.
But we have the system for that right now.
Yeah, and in doing so, it's gonna pick up.
At the town garage, that's how it was done. We had a long table at the front, and even after the one issue later on, there were meetings that I went to for particular issues, and 32 things. But,
So-
we had our little speakers.
It was just.
And then when I was in the audience, the select board members had the speakers.
You need microphones, right?
Yeah, they were.
And where were the speakers, and what were the speakers, were the speakers like just box speakers?
I have no idea about the speakers, I just know they could hear me fine, so, I don't.
Well, they may hear some, like they're saying.
What do other people use, Alan's, think of this model? Is this just the bargain basement model, or is there escalation to finer audio?
Well, I think this is what I, again, I don't know a whole lot, but my colleague who I asked about this, said this is this is not like a bargain basement, this is a well-respected, low price, and it's a well-respected product. And I think it is put out by Dell, it's a Dell,
I think so.
I think so.
I would say this room is probably a little big for, I've used
Right.
these in, small to medium sized conference rooms.
Well, I would suggest that we get those, microphones that we had and set them up and see how we can work it out, you know, in practice, you know.
Yeah, it might go
We
longer.
might, if,
And
no right away,
to,
like, go down,
last point, bigger room to go back in here.
yeah.
Yeah, I have experienced great frustration trying to listen to select board meetings. Not only is the audio muffled with the actual select board members speaking, which I would like to see Spectrum biased with a audio balancer board, so the spectrum from 800 to 3,000 hertz gets boosted. So that my ears would be able to pick stuff up. But when it comes to the audience, not only can I not see with what this Dan Bell was putting out for an image, who was speaking, but I can't at all understand what they're saying. So,
Even with this new setup here,
yeah, if I zoom into a select board meeting, you'll be able to, you know, if it's set here, you'll be able to see these people, but you won't be able to tell who's out there unless you happen to recognize their voice from the intonation and stuff. But if they're speaking, you won't be able to understand what they're saying. It is very frustrating.
the folks will give their name as to who's speaking.
I doubt it.
I mean, the board recognizes so and so from the audience,
Well,
say their name.
we'll see if they are that well disciplined to require that. It would be nice.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's actually,
I mean, that should be proper protocol as the board recognizes
Yes, it
from the
should be.
public.
Yes, it should be. Kathy will have to enforce that.
All right.
Make progress. Any public comment? Anything else, Lisa?
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
thank
Lisa.
you, thank you.
All right, next meeting's the April 8th. Well, good for that.
Thanks so much.
I'm gonna start getting busy, but I'll do my best. Anything that you wanna see on the agenda, just draw it over to me. Oh, yeah, motion to adjourn?
So,
Next.
Okay.
non-debatable.
Yeah.
All in favor of adjourning?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Whatever it is.
9:07.
We're.